Hey, so we have an orange car in the background. I don't know if you followed any of this, but if you watched the last two videos, I just tried to do a quick fix on this with the clutch. Clutch came apart, killed the trans. Everything now is brand new installed. We ended up having a problem with our slave cylinder. So this is the old one, all right? So it kind of just snaps on the ball through the floor. This one actually came apart. I believe I was having problems with this even back to when the first clutch I did swap out in here. So basically what I did to get this off was up in the air. I removed this, all right? I'm just gonna go over this because it was already replaced. Okay, this was my old one. All right, there's a clip that goes in here. This one I just popped out. It's floating around here somewhere on the floor yesterday. It's kind of some weird U-shaped, very similar to the one down here where you bleed. All right, so this I believe will be, I think it's bolted this way, right, like this. And it sticks through the floor up on the firewall just like that. All right, so I got up in there with a screwdriver. I just pulled that one out and then I grabbed a hold of this. I'm going to show you the tools that I used so you guys can see, because basically what I'm doing is I'm going to go over the install. Okay, so I had these seem to work pretty good. All right, now I used 13 mil. I had two of these long, maybe it was these, I had two of these long extensions, all right? And just a ratchet, all right? So let's go underneath here. I'm just gonna show you what we did. Okay, now that we're under the car, you can see right up in there, the coily thing, that is the clutch delay delete valve delete that I purchased from Modern Performance. Okay, so you can look up in there, you can see the black part of the new slave cylinder. Now there's two 13 mil nuts that hold that to the floor. All right, so I'm just going to kind of just show this here. One long extension right through here, right up on. All right, and then the other one I pushed out on this inner well, and I came up on this side and was able to get up in there onto the nut. Now I don't have to force it the whole way. I think maybe I went inside of this, but if I push this out further here on that, I can get this in here and then up to where we are. Okay, so but before I did that, I actually got up in here. You can get in here with this, pop this, okay, and then all I did was I grabbed onto the nut that is connected to this line where it goes in, gave that a wiggle, and then I pulled that whole assembly down out. Now mine was broken, the shaft rod was out, so it did make it easier to bring that down to a point where I could get to this clamp here. All right, that's your feed line. All right, now like I said, I would suggest pulling that rod from the inside. It'll just come right out if it isn't already detached. I actually had that little unit. I pulled it over into this, drop the light, area right here. All right, and right here above the exhaust, above the intermediate shaft, and I was able to access that clamp with the pliers that I have, and I just removed it. Now I want to warn you that when you remove that hose, there is a lot of fluid that's going to come running out, okay, from the master cylinder. So if you have some way to suck the brake fluid out of the master cylinder, I would suggest that. That would be a good idea. or if have a pan ready. I didn't. I ended up, you know, my hat fell off, and then we got brake fluid in my hat. Luckily, none of that stuff got in my face or my eyes, because brake fluid can damage your eyes and cause blindness. It is very dangerous, okay? So, very easily, over here, I got the hose back on, moved it over, had the clamp. I had to reposition the hose just a little bit, the feed hose, and then I bolted it into place, and then pushed up on the little clamp and slid in the delay. Now, the reason why I'm saying I believe I had problems with that for a long time, especially when I did the last clutch installs, I didn't want to get complete disengagement. I have a very nice pedal feel now. Along with that, I'm just going to show you what I did to bleed this. So I'm going to get out from underneath the car. I'll show you that quick here. All right, so this is, it's actually this unit. They sell similar units like this. Basically, it's a vac unit. You can actually push this down and you can pull the oil out of the pan without changing anything, or an automatic transmission. But this one is mainly, this was made for doing motorcycles, because a lot of some of those do not have drains, okay? But I use this for all kinds of stuff. I can put the vacuum, I can empty out my master cylinder if I so desire. I've used this thing to bleed brakes and everything else. So what I ended up doing was down there, I attached the hose to the black, or to that green, take that green thing off. There's a nipple there. Now, what you're supposed to do, and get the light to stay a certain way so I know you can see. You push down on this metal pin, this pops back some. There's like a, it's like a dual stage clip. That opens this up so that it allows that to come out. I put a vacuum on that with this. Now obviously I had to refill my reservoir, and you never want to run this empty, so make sure you have stuff in. Basically I did that, put a vacuum on it. I could watch, the air was coming out, and then eventually you would see bubbles starting to come through here after a while. So all I did was that, went in, pumped on it twice just to see if I could get that stuff to move in there on the pedal, and sucked on it a little bit more, got to see more air come out. And then once it was fully, this was full of fluid, solid, I didn't see any air bubbles coming through this. You can kind of see there's a little bit there from the other day. You can see it move around. There's no air bubbles in there, obviously, okay? So that was all I did there, and it actually bled out very nicely. So I'm just gonna go in here in the car and push on the pedal so you can see what it looks like. I've actually got some pretty good feel. Okay, now this is a little weird, but you can see your new rod here. All it did was pretty much just pop right back on. I just kind of used a screwdriver to pry it on, but we have very nice feel on there, okay? So that's pretty much, that's, you know, slave cylinder install and bleed out. If you don't have a vacuum bleeder, you can pump it. And the problem though is when you have pressure on that from holding your pedal down, it's hard to pull the part down in there apart to get it out. So it's probably best if you have two people, because one person, you can pump on the pedal gently. Sometimes you will have to pick it back up with your hand. Pump that till you feel like you have something, maybe 10 or 15 times. And then hold it down, or leave it up is what I mean. Leave it up. Then you can be out here, you can pull that out with a hose connected to it and have them push to the floor and hold it, and then you can push that back together, and then they can pump again. That will take more time to get it out than putting a vacuum onto the clutch system. It only took me one time to completely bleed this out, okay? So I ended up with a second code in this car. It was, I think, 522 comes to mind. So it's actually the oil pressure sensor. I I looked it up. There was a bunch of these that were actually bad. And it's very common for Chrysler stuff. So I'm going to throw this in. I'm going to add a little bit more tape onto my threads. I use a really good blue thread tape. Now, where this is located is basically on this side of the engine, right down there. I'm going to get the tools that we need before I go down underneath the car, and I'll show you where it's at. I've already got it unplugged. It has the typical Chrysler flat red locking clip that you got to push over and then you pull it out to pull this off. So I'm going to get some thread tape on this and the tool that I need to remove this one, remove that one, and install this one. We're going down under. All right, we're down underneath here. If you look up here, hopefully we can get a good view of this. It's a little tight trying to get hands and camera in here, but this right here is our plug. We've already got that out. Let's tuck this up so that I can get in there with the camera and show you where we're at. All right, so you can see your oil sensor right there. It actually looks like it might be, it kind of looks shiny in there, so it might be bleeding through. Some of them will leak through to the plugs, and then other ones will leak around where the plastic connects to the base there. Now, I have our new one ready to go. This is a tool made just for this. It's a 1 1/16 with a 3/8 drive here. Looks like I'll be able to use this one. Extension, giving plenty of room. Pretty dark, but it's not tight. So it's broke loose there. There we go. Got some light. I don't know how much oil's going to run out, if anything's going to run out with this. Oh yeah. So we got some oil. All right, a bit of a challenge to get that lined up. Let's go clean our ratchet off here. Left it sit in the most inappropriate spot. All right, so we're reinstalled. All I gotta do now here is I'm going to wipe this down just some here. But let's take a look at our old sensor here. See if we, not really too much coming through there. Maybe this one just failed. I had some on an 07 Ram that kind of did the same thing, and like I said, it's just really common for these things on Chrysler products to be a problem. But that's it. We're done. It's in. I got a little mess to clean up, but that finishes up this video. We're going to go in. We're going to use a code scanner. We're going to clear the code and take this thing for a test drive. All right. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. This is just you can see it, a car C reader 619. Got this off of eBay seller many years ago just to do ABS on something, but it seems to work out pretty well. Seems to be holding up. So one thing's set. We have a light on, so we're going to click OK, read our codes. Okay, so it's not a 522 or 540, I think is what I said, but it's a 520. Okay, so we have an oil pressure sensor. We've replaced it. We're going to erase the codes. Okay, says everything's cleared. Turn this off, clutch in, put it in neutral. All right, so I got 32 miles on it right now. All right, there we go. All right, I'm gonna let this thing run for a minute here, and we're gonna go out and we're gonna just double check and make sure that we don't have a leak. And if that works good, we're gonna be finished. All right. No more. There's a little bit there, but you know, if it was leaking bad, we'd have drips everywhere. So we're good to go. All right, hopefully we can call this dart done and get some miles on it. All right, we're out.